So welcome back to the next video. So what we're going to do is do some common faults and quick ways to fix them, or simpler ways to fix them. Now I've been contacted since doing the videos all over the world. You're talking Spain, Turkey, Croatia, Finland, Lapland, that was Christmas, America, South Africa, all over the place. Now a lot of them don't have facilities or the tools or the test equipment to get things spot on. So I'm going to run through some common problems which you're likely to incur, how you can get around them with limited tooling, etc. So we'll first start with CO2. Now we need a 3mm Allen key, about yay long. So we know we would put it over that side in the hole. So if your car's not starting for a reason, or you change your meter head, or you rebuilt your meter head and your car's not starting, what you can do is put your 3mm Allen key in the hole, turn it clockwise, which is more fuel, one full turn, and then turn the ignition on. What you want to listen to is the injectors, and you'll hear them spray if it's where it should be. It's only going to spray till the relay cuts off. If you can't hear them spray, do another full turn clockwise, turn the ignition on. For example, you can hear them spray, perfect. Now what you want to do, you're roughly in the ballpark where you want to be. Turn it back, quarter of a turn, so anti-clockwise, so you're taking away fuel now. Now again, turn the ignition on. Hopefully they'll stop spraying. If you can't hear them spray, then turn it an eighth of a turn anti-clockwise. Now that should be perfect enough to get the car started. So again, we've been spraying fuel in there, give it 20 minutes, half hour, come back, car should start, fire up nicely. Now it might be a bit rough, but at least it's idling and running. Now once it's running, you've got two indicators. This is a very good indicator. Good job that was on. And the main throttle, how quick the engine picks up. So once it's running, turn it quarter of a turn clockwise. That's a bit more fuel. Flip the throttle, see what the engine settles like. Now what you want to aim to do, just by doing this by ear, is be able to flip the throttle and the engine should pick up at the same time the throttle opens, to really pick up really quickly, providing everything else is as it should be, mainly ignition timing. And another indicator is this bonnet stay. If this is wobbling around, the engine is not happy, it's not idling nice. So what you want to do is have it so this is pretty much still. So that's CO2 and how you can adjust it to get the car running. And obviously now it's running, you can then drive somewhere to get it to a garage, your MOT tester, or somewhere with a CO2% or an AFR gauge. If you've got conversion charts to convert lambda into CO2. So that's one way how you can get around that. So another problem you can have is low RPM or low throttle misfire. Now I'll say misfire as a very loose term, but it's the only term to make sense. So you've got a rough idle. When you blip the throttle, it's not happy, it's not smooth, and you're driving it, again, light throttle, and it just doesn't like it, it's just something's missing. And then you press on a little bit more throttle, suddenly it clears itself, and off you go and you're away. Or it might do it at high RPM, mainly at lower RPM. Now, check your injectors. Now, these are brass injectors, Mercedes ones, because they are about 20 quid a piece, compared to the Bosch ones, which are like 40 quid a piece. Now, injectors are throwaway items. From experience, they are throwaway items. They're 20 quid because they're throwaway items. They've got a filter inside. The only way you can clean them is by back cleaning them. So, moving the nozzle up and spraying it through. That still doesn't clean them. Best bet is just to get a new set, bin them. Now, why is it doing it? Now, it's doing it because these injectors, same with all K-jet cars, injectors, the nozzle won't open until it gets between 3 and 3.3 bar. That's when there's enough fuel pressure behind there for it to overcome spring pressure. The nozzle opens and lets the fuel out. Now, if you've got one that's slightly clogged, remember it's a filter in there. These are 30-year-old cars. You've got original injectors. Chances are that could be clogged in there. So it needs a bit more pressure to open it. So the rest open. This one needs a bit more fuel pressure behind it. So when you're putting your throttle down, the air flaps moving up, putting more fuel through to the injectors. So it just needs to build up a bit more pressure behind that spring, maybe to 4 bar, before it suddenly, the pressure overcomes spring tension, opens the nozzle, and there you go, and your car rocks into life. Now, I've had it on cars fast, I've had it on this one. these injectors, I've recently just changed them because I was chasing a misfire for about 3 days. Checking everything, I was like, right, everything's fine. Right, let's check the injectors. So, took them all out, put my test injectors on when I test on the metering heads, put the test ones on there, problem's gone. Drives like an absolute rocket, perfect. Okay, so put the old ones back on, bar one on number 4, left an old one on number 4, or a known good one, all fine and dandy, it's gone. So, put a brand new one on number 4, problem's gone. So, that is one other thing you can have if you've got a really annoying misfire. Check your injectors. They could just need a bit more fuel pressure to, like say, to open and let the fuel in. And if it's a very big jump between it not doing much misfire and suddenly it goes, oh, it goes. That's a very good indicator. It could be the injector. So that's the second thing you can check. So, warm-up regulator. Now, what we can have with these is a blocked filter. Now, what's this going to cause without being able to test fuel pressure? So, if you're starting the car, it's very hard to start. If it does start at all, it's very lumpy and just wants to die. Now, there's a good chance the filter can be blocked. Now, this is the fuel in. This is a metering head that's come in with a metering. This is a warm regulator that's coming to be reworked along with a metering head. So I'll show you how it is. I haven't looked at this yet. So inside there, you've got a filter. Now, it's a 5-part filter, and I'll pull it out in a minute and show you what they are. Now, if that filter is blocked, fuel pressure coming from the metering head through this and out there, it can't get through there. This is literally a gateway. So the more fuel that goes through there, the lower the control pressure. So if it's blocked inside there, or that filter's blocked, it's not letting fuel through, it means your control pressure is high, which means it's going to have an adverse effect on how the air flap raises up because there's too much pressure above it. So the engine's trying to lift the flap up when it's drawing air in, but because that's blocked, it's not letting fuel through, which means when that flap's trying to lift, it's being forced back down. It's going to cause you rough running. So we'll pull this out and I'll show you how bad they are. Now, nice bit of clean paper so we can see how dirty it is. Now, simple way to take this out on a car, little screwdriver, little pointy one, nothing too major on it. Now, just shove it in there. Right, so that's all the filter come out now. I think it'll zoom in too far. You can see it sits in there, and we have now removed the fuel filter itself. So what I'll do, I'll split this down into its different layers. So these are the layers. So we've got 5 layers. Now this center one is some form of plastic. So we've got metal, metal, plastic, metal, metal. Now they're all cross-hatched together when they're made. And I'll be highly surprised if even like an ultrasonic cleaner can clean these, which is not going to happen. I mean, this is 30 years old. How many litres of fuel's gone through that? So, solution. How do we rectify that? By one of these. Now this is a 10mm by 6mm wide filter. So where do we put that? Well, happily, they sit inside the main banjo belt. Also, it needs to be pressed in or tapped in gently. So then it's a press fit inside there, and then your warm-up regulator is still filtered. So this is one way you can check your filter is not blocked. If the car's running, then the chances are the actual diaphragm that sits inside here is still functional and moves, and that's not blocked. There's quite a big orifice that goes through there. So if you've got rough running and you haven't got fuel pressure gauges to check what the control pressure is doing, my advice is buy these. These are like nothingness. These are bought from Mr. Injector UK, just because that's where I've got them from. So they're probably £6 for a pack of 10, something like that. Obviously you don't want 10 of them, you only want one, but you never know. So pull that out, put one of those in there, and then that completely eliminates the filter being an issue inside your warm regulator. And hopefully that is one way you can alleviate any rough running which is related to a blocked warm-up regulator filter. So this is another one. Now, if you're having problems with starting the car and you sort of want to check fuel system pressure and you haven't got the gauges, or a good indication is it's poor to start when it's hot, or mainly it doesn't want to start straight away. And if you cycle the ignition 5 or 6 times, so turn it off, let the pump prime, turn it off, back on, back on, it then starts, splutters a bit, and then and sort of wakes up and it's back to life. There's a big chance that the seal behind this is gone. So this is just a typical 16 valve metering head. Now this behind here, this is a 16mm head. It is tight, and this is the fuel pressure relief valve. So unscrew this. Obviously, if it's got pressure in it, it's going to leak some out. So give it half an hour to cool down, and you still get some fuel out. So undo this, pull it out. Now that green one is our culprit. So this comes out like so. You'll have a spring, and you'll have yours should come out a lot easier than this. This meeting has been sat around for a while. Come on. So this is the fuel pressure regulator laid out, ignoring the shim and the washer. So this is what we're looking at, this green seal here. Zoop. There you go, focus, that green seal. Now, system pressure sits at this end. So that goes up, spring pressure on there with the shims, and obviously maintains system pressure. So in this gap between this seal, the inside here between there, is going back to tank pretty much. So if that seal's worn, it's getting past there, which is not, because really that's a machine fit, so it shouldn't leak past there. So if you're having to crank the car or turn the ignition a few times to get the system pressure to build up, it's going to be leaking past this seal, going through these little holes, and then ends up in this gap between here, between spring and inside here. Now where's that go? That lines up straight with this on the metering head, which goes back to tank. So system pressure is coming in, past there, through the holes, in there, and back to tank. So what you want to do is take this out, change that seal. Now the seal is 7mm inside diameter by 2mm cross section. Make sure it's a fuel seal, obviously. Pop that back in there, give this a clean up first. You can change those, but to be honest, I haven't had many of those changed. That's normally, once the system's off, that stops. Should hold residual pressure, but the main one, culprit, is this one. I've had it countless times. I've had people, like say, different parts of the world saying, oh, I've got this problem, I've got to, cycle the ignition a few times, pull that out, change the seal, put it back in, oh boom, you've got system pressure again. So that is another problem you can have, and you can alleviate one issue, which could potentially stop you getting the system pressure and the car working correctly.
So there you go, that's 4 big problems I always find with K-jet over the years. I mean, I can rattle on about K-jet for a long time, you've probably picked that up for a while now. But try and narrow it down, there's 4 good main points which are, in my eyes, my experience, common problems, ways you can get around them, things you can do without having to spend out on expensive test tools or taking to a garage, blah blah blah, because you can do this stuff yourself. I can teach you, it's easy, for me anyway. Anyway, any issues, any comments, just stick them in the comments or message me on the Facebook page or Instagram. I'm always happy to help. I always do, because I like helping and I love K-jet stuff. So if you're new to the channel, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I should have a new video up. Probably going to be the last instalment of the 200 brake horsepower quest. Had the car out today, it's flying along. So it's got a fueling spot on. I won't jab on too much, that's in the next video. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye. Keep it cool. With you, I feel like breaking rules. On the edge, looking out with no parachute.